Hey, folks. I just wanted to come on ahead of the episode and say this one is definitely not safe for work. So if swearing is not your thing, please skip this episode. There are more on the way, I can assure you of that. But just don't flood us with 1-star reviews, please. Just because we swore, I hate that. If you're sticking around, please enjoy this episode. It was so much fun. Welcome, everyone, and dear God, it sounds so weird to say those words. We're back. I couldn't stay away, so I decided to bring back the podcast, and I picked up a pair of ultra-terrestrials along the way, and they are joining me for another collaboration. Gentlemen, please introduce yourselves.
I am Mark Stores.
And I am Rob Morphy.
That's right. It's another Cryptonaut OSS crossover episode. Boys,
Woo!
how you doing?
Woo!
Fucking
good, man.
Phenomenal. Yeah. No, I'm talking, Mark. I'm talking. This is how organized this is going to be. I am great. Mark, you may go now.
Yeah, no, I was gonna give the disclaimer that yet again we are potting remotely, so we're tripping over each other constantly. And I was waiting for Rob to finish up to be like, "Yeah, our Strange Guys is back, baby. Cryptonaut podcast is here again to hopefully not ruin his show any more than we already have." But
oh no, it's already. This is what happens when he invites scumbags to his house. This is what happens.
I know,
Rob. I'm so sorry, but I am honored to be here. And I do want to say, paraphrasing Mark, but I mean it sincerely, I was so delighted when we got this call from you that you wanted to come back and involve us, but mostly the A part, because your pod's been missed. It is brilliant. You are one of the kings out there. So I literally say huzzah to you, sir. I'm glad you're back, and I'm delighted you let us be a part of this reintroduction.
I appreciate it, gentlemen, because it's been a rough road. 2020 was a rough road for a lot of us, but it feels good to be back, and it feels good to be wanted to be back. So definitely thank you for that. The story tonight, it's an interesting one in that it involves some elf-looking guy that just appeared in front of a bunch of skiers, and the aftermath and the supposed further context that one of them had. So I figured, just given how outlandish the story is, I needed to have you on for it.
Awesome.
It's our bread and butter.
It's what we love. So yeah, the more outlandish, the better, definitely.
And not to get into the celebratory Saint Christopherson mode, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is actually one of my all-time favorite cases. I've read about it when I was very young, and I've always been fascinated. And the way you present the information, both in terms of the stories itself and the way it was released to the public step by step, it again shows you are the Sifu of research and chronicling really, truly bizarre extraterrestrial and other events. So again, kudos to you. When I read your work, which, I was lucky enough to be sent before, I was just like blown away. I'm like, this is how it's done. This is how you present the facts. And again, man, brilliant. Well played.
When I was writing this up, and I had originally, this was one of the few episodes that I was working on before I put a wraps on the podcast. I had a bunch of stuff written out, and when I was going through and revising it, Rob Morphy's voice was in my head the entire time in terms of how I wanted it to be written, how I wanted it to be presented, and hopefully it comes through this evening.
Oh, bless your heart. I mean, first off, you are the one here, and I thank you. You flattered me beyond belief, but it is astonishing the way you put it together, and it is beautifully written. And again, it's one of my favorites, and I have never thought about the case in quite this way, even though I knew the basic facts. You put it together just wonderfully. So I cannot wait to get into this now.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And without further ado, Finland has an interesting history with its UFOs, and it doesn't normally get the spotlight that it deserves from time to time. But when Maria Lax was a child, she moved around a lot. She was a native of Finland, and she had spent a lot of time growing up in the United States and Switzerland. And by the age of 6, she had learned 3 languages. And according to an interview with the British Journal of Photography for their Female in Focus series, Lax claimed that this left her longing for a place to call home, which is very fitting when you think of aliens and sometimes them coming down to Earth. But in 2013, the London-based photographer took a trip home to Finland and discovered a book written by her grandfather, Soini Lax, called Putasarven UFOt. The book recalled a flap of UFO sightings that had occurred in the small town of Putasarvi in the 1960s. Lax became fascinated by the accounts of strange lights interacting with people of Finland and grew connected to their witnesses.
How fucking phenomenal would it be to just randomly discover that your grandfather wrote this fucking book that had these fantastic UFO sightings, and then have that, influence you? Like, I know my mom, was into UFOs and some crazy stuff, and that certainly helped put the seed in me. But to actually have a tome written by an immediate ancestor about this stuff and have that send you on a path, how fucking brilliant is that?
I think it's any like 40an's dream to have that happen to them, And I think for some it does, for some it definitely does. There was an account from 2 siblings that witnessed a helmet-shaped UFO fly over their car on the morning of November 13th, 1967. The pair watched the unknown object for a combined 20 minutes before expeditiously heading home out of fear. On October 8th, 1969, a taxi driver and their fare witnessed 12 orbs of light in the town of Rengsvara fly through the town in front of other motorists, illuminating houses and businesses before retreating to the woods on the edge of town. One of the most dramatic sightings involved a group of 3 motorists traveling in a car. And that seems to be the theme with a lot of these sightings, is that, and for this one in particular, on the evening of December 13th, 1969, they witnessed an object descend from the sky approximately half mile in front of them. The object had a cone on the bottom of it, and from it erupted flames, like those of a rocket engine, kind of reminiscent of the Cash Landrum incident a little bit.
That's exactly... I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Rob, again.
No, you're good.
I keep folding all over you. It's just me. I apologize to your listeners.
Welcome to my world, man. Rob.
It's totally true. But the Cash Landrum incident, I think Mark and I were talking about it just last week. And what was interesting about that, and I can't help but find it somewhat analogous here, is that the cone-shaped bottom, in the Cash Landrum incident, it was a diamond-shaped object spewing flames that allegedly irradiated Betty Cash and Vicky Landrum. And I think eventually they actually got compensation from the United States government for the health damage and the damage to the car and the whole 9 yards, which is like a first ever, in terms of the government kind of conceding that they did something. But it was later on, as I'm sure you know, that Richard Doty, the Mirage man, the guy who definitely worked for the Air Force's OSI, Office of Special Investigations, but may or may not be telling the truth now about, the reality of UFOs. He said that that was a retrofitted alien spacecraft, the Cash Landrum one, that was trying to fly by a nuclear propellant. So that's what the flames were, and that's what caused the radiation sickness and to Betty and Vicky and the damage to the car, and also I think the grandson Colby. So when I see flames coming out of a UFO, which is not common, but it's seen enough, it always makes me think, even though Richard Doty is a lying piece of shit most of the time, probably, but it always makes me think there is a possibility that there is a human element trying to power vehicles they can't comprehend, and that you should probably avoid them at all costs.
Yeah. Betty and Vicky, they didn't end up winning their case. I do remember
they lost.
That. They tried. They lost. But what's interesting here, at the same time that, I think it was like days before the Cash Landrum incident, you had the Rendlesham Forest incident happen where, John Burroughs sued the government for his health records and to pay for, his medical bills and stuff like that. He did end up winning. So,
right on.
yeah. So you have these incidents occurring around the same time, which is, it's always been fascinating. This object flew along the road for a number of minutes while the driver maintained a healthy distance away before it just completely turned upward and disappeared. There is something otherworldly about the streets you walk after witnesses come forward with strange tales of out-of-place objects and lights that flew above them. An eerie history moves in, like an unseen fog. You could feel it in the pavement as your tires crackle over them. The streetlight in front of your home seems menacing at night, and the sky above feels a little too empty. But there always remains a feeling that whatever it was could return at any minute. After reading the book, Lax reached out to many of the witnesses interviewed for it and heard their stories firsthand. She started with the retired taxi driver who had seen the 12 orbs of light in 1969, appearing on his doorstep unannounced, but was still thrilled to talk about his sighting nonetheless. He named a number of other eyewitnesses, leading Lax to conduct dozens of interviews with residents that still lived in the area. Most of them described a strange but beautiful light that would follow them through the surrounding forest. Some even claimed to be abducted by these mysterious objects. Driven by a connection to this area and to her grandfather's work, she set out to recreate what witnesses had seen all those years before through photography. And in 2015, the photos first started to appear on Lax's Instagram page. They have since been collected in her first book, Some Kind of Heavenly Fire. And I own this book, and it is fucking gorgeous to stare at. The title comes from a statement made by one of the witnesses who saw the nearby forest illuminated by red light. Quote, "One night, the forest seemed to be on fire, as far as the eye could see. It was a cold November night, and there was snow on the ground, so I knew it couldn't be. I don't know what I saw that night, but it wasn't from this world. It was some kind of heavenly fire." While Lax highlighted Finland's lesser-known cases, the country's most notorious case involved a pair of skiers near the tiny village of Imjärvi. Now, this story went through a few phases in its retelling, first appearing in the pages of Flying Saucer Review in their May-June issue of 1970. It was approximately 4:45 p.m. on January 7th, 1970. The skies were clear, and the temperature was beginning to drop as the stars started coming out for the night. Despite the now frigid temperatures, it had been a beautiful day for skiing. Arno Heinonen, 36, worked in forestry, while Esko Viljo, 38, was a farmer by trade. The pair had been great friends for years and avid cross-country skiers for just as long. They had just crested a hill when Arno heard a strange buzzing sound, though it was Esko that first sighted the strange object. In the original reports, it was described as a thin, narrow point of light. This light, which the men called the phenomenon, exploded into a cloud that was, quote, brighter than the moon. It descended below treetop level, and from it came a ring of white light that fell to the snow. Its outer edge was black, measuring approximately 50 centimeters, or about 1.5 feet in diameter. Soon after descending in front of the startled hikers, the ring would erupt in a 4th of July-like display of red, green, and violet-colored sparks. A small disc, slightly smaller than the ring on the ground, would then lift up from it as soon as the sparks began to fade, floating to the strange cloud still hovering above the trees. The cloud then lifted up and disappeared rapidly at a fast rate of speed. The two skiers began to experience negative health effects almost immediately after the encounter took place. Arno Heinenen's right side, which had been facing the mysterious phenomenon, felt hot to the touch. His body became numb, and it was difficult for him to breathe. He struggled to get to a doctor in Heinonen, which was a nearby town, who only prescribed the young skiers some sleeping pills. Arno would make multiple trips to the doctor, but they could find no explanation for his condition. Similarly, Esko Viljo would have health problems as well. An hour after the encounter, his face became very swollen and red. He described feeling light in the legs, which was throwing off his balance. The doctor, too, prescribed him nothing but sleeping pills. On multiple trips to the hospital, Esko complained of eye pain and headaches, for which he was prescribed eye drops. These doctors clearly suck ass.
They're just giving you sleeping pills for everything. They're like, what's that? You have a pair of sore knees there, good sir? Have some sleeping pills.
A nap will take care of it.
Trying to kill everybody. They're like making them all fucking addicts at this point. Good God.
It's bad. It's really fucking bad.
It's not a good light for universal health care, which I am a supporter of.
See?
But it's not a good light.
Eye drops and sleeping pills for everybody. Rob Morphy, 2024.
Oh, here it is. I know. Dr. Rob.
Absolutely. Both men were prescribed blood circulation medication at one point, and still the doctors could find nothing wrong with them.
I mean, at least he went to blood circulation medicine, I guess. Eventually he was like, sleeping pills ain't doing it.
Yeah, we all need to circulate.
No. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck, man. It needs it. It fucking needs it.
And you know what else it needs? A good night's sleep. Sleeping pills.
Oh, yeah, and your eyes.
It's just good for your heart and eyes. Sleep and circulation.
Yeah, that's the extent of it.
Maybe we're throwing the doctors under the bus too quickly here. Maybe these guys were gems.
But the thing is like, this is not unheard of. 3 years before this case happened, you have the Falcon Lake incident with Stefan Michalak, and he went to the doctors on multiple occasions, and they prescribed him similar type, remedies for his problems, and they believed he was exposed to radiation, or at least some people did, despite the fact that they couldn't find any evidence of radiation aside from, some slightly irradiated clothing. But beyond that, this does not seem to be, uncommon in some cases where negative health effects are happening.
Yeah, we talked about Cash Landrum a second ago, and you're right, the Falcon Lake incident is classic. There are many of them. And Mark and I lately we just did one.
We did.
I will never say the name right, but the Analema case where this gamma irradiated UFO with a little occupant apparently affected a man and changed his health so profoundly. Aracesio Bermudez, I think his name was, in Colombia, and this took place in 1969 in the summer. He got closer than anyone else when this thing came down on his property, and it seemed like the occupant was waving him away, like, the fuck out, man, there's something wrong. But he didn't know how to interpret it, and within days, it was black vomits, it was all the classic radiation sickness elements, the diarrhea, and he was gone. So from cancer, like in Cash Landrum, to burns, like in Falcon Lake, and many other things, to death, as happens in a bunch of other ones. It can be scary. It's not always the Spielbergian ideal that we want of the cute alien in your back shed, or the Great Wyoming Gathering, where you get to see a fantastic fucking 4th of July with little baby creatures giving you back your, lost in the Bermuda Triangle aviators.
Yeah, absolutely. We all wish that we could be in that kind of situation. Definitely the we come in peace kind of scenario, but that doesn't always seem to be the case.
No, we can't all be Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
It's
all
really
fucking Richard Dreyfuss's fault.
Everyone deep down wants to abandon their family, get on a UFO, and say, "Fuck it, Earth, I'm doing my thing." But
and how do you do that? You pull some Colonel Klinger kind of bullshit and start making like towers out of fucking your potatoes and shit. Yeah.
In all fairness, you lose Terry Garr, and she was a wonderful, lovely lady and a fine actress to this day. So, all right, that's the deficit. But the pro, come on, you're riding in a spaceship, seeing the universe. Hopefully, they're not going to eviscerate him immediately, because you never see what happens after the credits. It could go Rod Serling. It could be a cookbook.
You never know. You never know. I mean, J. Allen Hynek was there, so
he was.
We got that going.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was thrilled to that cameo. Always.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
One of the best. So
here.
In the next issue of Flying Saucer Review, the story would evolve a little bit more. The sound that Arno initially heard sounded like it was coming from far away and then closer and closer. Both men described how they were paralyzed to the spot, but were not afraid. The explosive cloud would gain structure as a classic saucer with 3 half balls of light on the bottom of it, the center of which consisted of a tube of light, from which the strange self-luminous ring with a black edge would come. Arno spoke of strange dreams in which this object was descending toward him. His friend Esko Viljo looked different in these dreams. He was older and shorter. Whatever this image was, it scared the 36-year-old forestry worker so much that he encouraged his friend not to visit. Their health hadn't improved either. Esko's hands and face would often become red, and he suffered from continuing headaches. Arno described feeling like there was a hot water sloshing around in his stomach, which just sounds so fucking god-awful.
Oh my God. It makes me nauseous to think about it, honestly.
Yeah.
I can feel it in my imagination, and I want to blow. So fucking, I'm feeling for these guys. The more you describe this, the more I'm like, what the fuck? And while anyone's reality would be shattered by seeing something like this to a degree, like you have to, make it a part of your life somehow, like it really seems like the psychological effects, especially on Arno, are profound and detrimental.
Definitely. As the story progresses, you will see how it completely affects him. But every time he experienced this sensation in his stomach, it would just cause him to vomit.
Of course.
And his memory had begun to fail him very quickly. His back and his ears hurt, and yet their doctors could still, months later, not find any cause for their illness. Reports from Falkenberg, Sweden, concerning craft with half-ball-shaped lights on them would come in. Similar reports would emerge from other nearby countries as well, but it wouldn't be until the September issue of Flying Saucer Review that the full story of what happened in the Imjärvi forest would emerge. Word of the men's encounter had begun to get out thanks to an investigation conducted by Sven Olof Fredriksson, a Swedish investigator, though it was through the work of a Finnish journalist named Bo Alvqvist that the case would be known. The two men agreed to escort Bo to the site of the incident, and from there, memories of the strange object would come flooding back. The two men blamed their memory loss following their encounter on the object itself. Time lapses around this time were not really unheard of in UFO reports, and in fact, were a prominent feature of Betty and Barney Hill's, as well as Herbert Scherber's abduction incidents. Have you ever read the graphic novel that was written about Herbert Schermer's incident? I think it's just called December 3rd, 1967. Get your hands on it. It is fantastic.
Oh,
yeah,
phenomenal.
I think I saw that actually not that long ago. I was at a comic shop and I think I saw it there. So I just have to definitely pick that up.
Anytime you in these classic cases hear about missing time, it always triggers something, especially when it's pre-Striberian, for lack of a better term, when it's even Betty and Barney Hill, which is probably a better reference point because that's usually considered the start point that we all know better. The idea of missing time in these older cases when they had no context for them whatsoever, anyone who's into the subject at all instantly thinks, oh shit, you know what happened because that's what happens,
I tend to feel like we would use Antonio V.S. Boas more as a starting point if he didn't bang an alien on a spacecraft. But
yeah, that probably made it difficult, for conservative Midwest papers to fully report that. But yeah, that is a stone classic case, and it should be more of a starting point anyway. But you've got to at least admire the people that get laid, because let's be honest. I mean, if you're going to get abducted, sex doesn't hurt. As long as it's not rape, nothing rapey, nothing proby, but if it's consensual, and the guys are always saying like, oh, her eyes were a little too big and her nose was a little too pointed, but she was absolutely lovely, because that's obviously guys are much easier to seduce, and they're, usually like Boas, the ones that are taken on. And you know what? If you're going to at least do that, well, I mean, good on you. I don't know why you're not just taking sperm. I mean, you can fly across the universe or interdimensionally or from deep caverns in the earth or wherever the fuck you come from. I don't know why you need to ride the baloney pony to actually make hybrid babies. It seems like you'd have a better scientific method for that. But because they're maybe old school and just want to, see what it's all about, get earthy with it the way, the Amish go English. maybe it's just like cutting loose and not like a breeding program. Maybe it's just, hey, Earth guys are fun, whatever. You don't get committed. You're in college. You do what you do.
I mean, like
they came this far, man. You got to do something.
I mean, it was called Earth Girls Are Easy, but I think the opposite is true in this case.
It's absolutely opposites are true.
One of the most interesting ones that I came across when I was just flipping through old issues of Flying Saucer Review. It was in the Broadhaven School Report issue. This is volume 23, number 1, 1977. I read this in a live stream. Let me find the title here for you. It's just so fucking great. It was written by Gordon Creighton. So,
the best.
Classic. Yep. UFO, occupants, and sex in Colombia. And this guy, his name is, let me see, Liberato Quintero.
Oh, he's a coxman. You know it.
Oh, he's definitely
that man is slinging and fucking bringing A game all the time.
Yes. His wife was named Brunilda, which is interesting for a Colombian family. But the interesting thing here is that when Gordon Creighton, or I don't know if I think Gordon Creighton translated this from another. No, it was actually Ignacio Darnaude that did the report. That did the report on this
Phenomenal.
one. And I think Creighton just presented it, but his wife was talking about how the aliens were such a bitch for doing it to her husband.
Of course. She has every right to be resentful. Every right.
Yeah, no, folks, if you have not found that issue online, you really should. But I mean, pour one out for Antonio Villas-Boas, Liberato Quintero, Peter Coury, all these folks. Pour one out for them. Even Dave Huggins, pour one out for him.
Yo, definitely Dave Huggins. What up, Dave Huggins? That's my guy right there. I love that documentary, and good for him. Good for David Huggins.
It's so great.
I want to own one of his paintings, definitely.
Definitely. Shout out to Brad Abrahams for doing that fucking documentary. It's so great.
Yeah, man, that was a great, awesome documentary. He was on your show, right?
Yes, he was on the show.
I remember that episode. I remember where I was when I was listening to that episode, as a matter of fact.
First interview I ever did with anybody. So amazing. The object had approached the two skiers from the north on that January day in 1970. Arno and Esko had stopped briefly for a rest in the chilly evening air. The stars were emerging one at a time when a single distant buzzing noise drew closer. Arno Heinonen first noticed the sound. That was when Esko Viljo's attention was drawn upward. A powerful light hovered high above the pair of skiers. It was shrouded by cloud, but as it descended, the bottom of the craft came into view. It was separated by 3 hemispheres. The outermost was home to 3 half-globes of light, and the center, of course, contained a large tube of light. Descending toward the witnesses, the mist that was cloaking the object slowly dissipated. It hovered just 4 meters or 13 feet above the ground, just under treetop level. Arno claimed that it was so close he could have touched it with his ski pole. The craft emitted an intense beam of light down at the ground, which created a self-luminous circle with dark edges. The circle started to emit red, green, and violet sparks in arcs as far as 3 meters or nearly 10 feet. A red-gray mist descended upon the forest at the same time, and from the luminous circle, a small disc-like object ascended back up toward the craft. Arno felt as if somebody had seized him by the waist and pulled him back. Through the mist, he and Esko caught sight of a short humanoid creature, 90 centimeters or about 3 feet tall. Their features were very thin. The nose was hook-shaped. Think Squidward if his nose was a little more rigid.
Perfect.
Their skin was pale blue, but very little of it could actually be seen by the witnesses. The being wore a coverall that was green in color, and its feet were donned in a darker green fabric. The conical hat they wore gave the being a Rankin Bass, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer elf appearance for sure.
Vivid and absolutely accurate.
Their hands, like claws, held tight a black box that appeared to have a lens similar to a camera's.
All right, just for a second.
Yes.
Can I just fucking say, the fuck? You've got all this super tech classic, ostensibly extraterrestrial technology coming down. You've got orbs and you've got rings and you've got light with dark edges, which is, in physics impossible. You've got mists and exploding clouds and, of course, sparks of multicolored delight shooting everywhere like an erroneous fireworks display. And then you get a fuck-sucking elf. You get a classic, like you said, Rankin Bass, hook nose, box camera carrying elf. It is such a convergence of two different paranormal disciplines that it can't help but blow your mind.
This is gotta be a Pink Floyd performance that just remained in the drafts. It remained in the drafts. They never went forward with it. Would have been
they
amazing.
ran a test in Finland and things went awry.
So what we actually have here is Sid Barrett coming out and being like, "Hello, welcome to my musical piece," and he's holding a fucking mother box with him. So from the New Gods. So
this is
Mr. Awesome. Miracle.
People say that it was the drug problem that got him out. This is the incident that really got him kicked out of the band.
This is the performance where they're like, "Sid, we're done. We're sorry. Goodbye."
They managed to put it down. They only had 2 casualties. They were discredited by their own effect by it, and so never a word was said. But I think this is clearly a rock and roll conspiracy scandal, and we should identify it as what it is.
Listen, dude, we were all right with I've got a bike, you can ride it if you like, and all that crap. But this is too far.
This is too much.
A bridge too far.
Oh, we tied it back to Pink Floyd. I love
it. But we digress.
Yes. The creature turned slightly and aimed the box at Arno, and a pulsating light came out of it. Sparks were still flying, as if it were an old-school camera bulb exploding. They fell upon the 2 skiers, though they never felt the sparks hit their coats. Arno and Esko lost sight of the creature as the mist grew thicker and thicker. Both men claimed to have a good view for approximately 15 seconds. Then, the light beam rose from the snow and re-entered the ship. The mist was parted, thrown open like a curtain, and in a flash, the sky was empty, and the craft was gone. The physiological effects, though, would remain for months. It was hard for both men to work in the weeks following their encounter. Arno vomited regularly for months, and Esko's skin would regularly turn red. In fact, when the 2 men led a party of investigators to the area where it happened, their skin would turn red on sight.
That's fucked up.
That is.
Yeah, that's real fucked up.
Very, very fucked up. Though some on the skeptical side would cast doubt on the case, Heinonen in later years would claim to have many additional sightings. There were other factors that add validity to their story. In a village 15 kilometers or 9 miles from the encounter, Elna Sitari witnessed a strange light on the day of the 2 skiers' encounter. In the village of Paso, some 10 kilometers or 6 miles north, an unnamed man witnessed a strange light in the sky around 4:45 that evening as the encounter was taking place. And later that evening, a 16-year-old boy named Matti, who was from Imjärvi, witnessed a strange light not far from where the encounter took place. He was on his way home from a friend's house when the forest lit up around him. A bright light was moving just above the trees. It disappeared quickly to the south a short while later. 10 years after the sighting of the famed Imjärvi humanoid, details of Arno Heinonen's additional sightings would be published in 2 issues of Flying Saucer Review in 1980. Esko Viljo plays little to no part in the following incidents, and in fact, his friendship with Arno fell through not long after their sightings. According to Arno, the humanoid being that he encountered with Esko in the woods of Imjärvi was sent to inoculate the 36-year-old forestry worker by way of radiation beams. Oh, yeah! Radiation beams.
That's the way.
That's not how you do that. That's not good. We're humans. We don't respond well to that shit. Our body does not like it.
Humanoid, can you please come down and inoculate the human race? If there was ever a time we need a mass radiation inoculation, it is fucking now. So please, let this cry go out into the universe. Hook some brothers up. It is crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but it's crazy because we think of it in practical terms, but who the fudge knows? I mean, who really knows what is going on with Arno's perception of it? I mean, or maybe it just really tilted his mind so severely that I don't know. It's hard to say, but I always hate myself for having that gut instinct to say something's batshit crazy, even when it seems like it, because then I think to myself, how many times have men of logic, learned academics said the same thing only to look foolish 10 to 50 to a century to a millennia later, and we know that they were literally those people that were blinded by whatever rules they were familiar with at the time. So I feel like a hypocrite when I say it, but I can't help but to say, the fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thinking about it. Goddamn aliens and their bullshit. I just why? Why radiation? Like why?
It's not good for anybody.
No,
ever.
Like I remember watching The Martian, and I remember Matt Damon saying you shouldn't dig up the radioactive isotope. He did it for heat, but like leave the radioactivity at home, folks.
Yeah,
just keep it on your planet or whatever. Like I'm done with it. Like I'm sorry, but the closest the nuclear plant to us, well, to me, was shut down like I don't know, years ago. It was in Vermont, but no, like just stop it.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, it's
I mean, I get it's cheap energy, but when it goes awry, it's a not even no man's land. It's a no life land for centuries.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, we got, what's wrong with wind? Come on, like, solar. Let's panel it up.
Like it's instances like this that literally create no man land. Like that's what they are. They are no man. They can't be anyway. They are the no man land. Like
absolutely.
It's bad. It's so goddamn bad.
Oh, and this is where Rob Morphy starts to try to sell us renewable energy.
So let me go old school and tell you a little something about whale oil.
There you go.
Stand by.
Wait.
Stable massacre of our fellow mammals to feed our energy needs. Come on, folks.
Just take a couple of white owls and burn them. It'll keep your house warm.
Oh my God! Dude.
Yeah.
Now that's a bridge too fucking far.
Oh, sorry.
Rob,
not the owl, son.
I think we need you to talk about how plants have feelings, like right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
If you need it, I will go at length. The emotional depth of a fern will fucking rend your heart. Don't make me.
If I can turn them into electricity, I'll like them.
You stop that. Our green friends need our help. Not our fucking condescension, Mr. Stores.
Anyway, continuing on with Robert Christopherson.
Leonard Nimoy would be proud, Rob. He would definitely be proud.
One of these days, the pod will come out and all will know.
Yes,
boom.
All will have to know.
Oh, boy.
The act allegedly implanted an alien device in his back, as he put it, and, quote, became part of his body.
Oh
boy! Fucking there Blue Beetle all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a deep pull. God bless you.
It is supposed to be some kind of transmitter receiver. Arno claims that a similar device was implanted in Esko's forehead, but the aliens have, quote, put him aside.
Okay. Oh, man.
No wonder they're not buddies anymore.
Really.
That's a tough indictment there. Aliens, you're not good enough. Me?
No.
Yeah.
No, you have been cast aside. Your aspersions have been taken wholeheartedly, and you are done, sir.
I said good day, sir.
Good day.
Esko actually lucked out because the one that's put aside by the aliens is the one he gets to keep farming and skiing or doing whatever he can do with his bright red skin. He doesn't have to deal with the madness. So, sometimes when you get dumped, it hurts, but it's for the best. He might have dodged a bullet.
At least you got to see that motherfucker with the pointy hat that was taking pictures, At least you got that.
Yeah.
According to an article written by Anders Lilligren, quote, Arno further wrote that he has been given extrasensory powers by his humanoid friends. Once he received knowledge about a burglary and he sensed who was the guilty one, he told the police who caught the thief.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no, dude. He's turning into like a passive Judge Dredd where he knows the deal. He's not killing anyone or putting him in an ISO cube, but I mean, I am just filled with comic book references tonight.
God bless you. Or he's just randomly pointing to some dude he doesn't care for, and the lazy ass police are like, yeah, I guess we got the thief. Arno said so. He's got the thing in his back. He knows. There it is.
Arno, well, honorary detective for at least a day, just out here nabbing motherfuckers. He is the judgment of God.
He is.
I mean, honestly,
you know what? I'll do one better. He is the Robert Stack of Finland, and you cannot fuck around. He will terrify you with theme music. He will intimidate you with his voice, and he will find the fucking thief.
He will.
Wow.
He will totally fucking find it, and you will question the entire time whether that man was an actual fucking ghost on the fucking screen or a human being.
Hell yes.
Oh, that's funny.
That is the one thought I had about that man my entire childhood. Is he an actual ghost? Do they somehow have a ghost hosting a TV show? I need to know. The man has such a grave demeanor. That was the thing. Is like
I'm Robert Stack.
When
I see stacks.
When I interviewed John Tenney, that was one of the things that I had to fucking put aside. I had to settle right then. I was like, John, is he really like that in real life? He's like, oh yeah, he's totally like that.
No, that man is stoic as shit. He's like 3 Robert Duvalls, and he will never, ever break. I mean, he's gone now, but he's still rigid in the afterlife, and it.
Yeah. Totally.
He's almost laconic, except he's always talking. He's the kind of guy that can keep talking and make you think, he's a man of few words. He's sturdy. Yeah. He scares me.
He's
but
sturdy.
He doesn't stop
but he never stops fucking talking.
You just, to circle back again, you just described a tree. That's amazing.
He's a sentient tree.
Oh, no.
Oh, Birch Stack.
Oh, it's going to go into Lord of the Rings pretty soon.
Yeah, total ant.
No.
Total ant.
Yeah. Oh, God.
We've fucking put the nail in the coffin on this one, boys. We know what's happening.
There it is.
All right. Man, so this guy is just pointing out robbers being his own judge, jury here. So, all right. I mean, that's what happens when you get the power, I guess.
Slowly becoming my favorite human being. I mean, as long as things continue in this trajectory, that man is fucking aces in my book.
I kind of hope that, before he died, he at least dressed up as this like short humanoid guy shooting him with, radioactive beams for Halloween at least one year. I hope.
Oh, yeah.
You have to.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Fully.
Totally. I could see him putting a hook nose on himself made out of like cardboard or something. That'd be great.
Some paper mache.
Yeah. So great. So great. In the years following his alien encounter, Arno Heinonen claimed to have over 23 additional sightings, including interactions with UFO occupants. Yeah, it's quite a bit. On May 5th, 1972, and these are in Arno's own words, quote, I heard 3 sound signals, as he calls them, and then an unknown woman's voice asking me to come to a meeting place behind a red barn near the crossroads to Jala and Vyokowski. I totally slipped on some of these pronunciations, but
I'm going to say this right now. I know your audience might be frustrated with digression, and God bless you. I apologize, but I got to say this: you have been a master of pronunciation. I am not used.
I feel like I'm on vacation. I'm not used to this level of pronunciation personally.
Well,
like,
I feel that as a personal dig, and you can eat it, Mark Stores. Thank you.
I mean, I'm just enjoying my time here, watching
with a professional.
Words get pronounced.
Yeah, watching someone who knows how to do their business work. No, I get it. Yeah, Uncle Amateur Hour over here. Again, suck it, sir. But I apologize, Mr. Christofferson. We are sullying your show.
No. I will raise you 2 suckets.
I fold.
Yeah, no, I call right now. I was to come on my own, and I was not allowed to bring my camera or my tape recorder. The woman's voice sounded high-pitched and strained. I went to this place on my motor scooter. It was 10:15 in the evening. As I arrived behind the barn, I saw a woman clad in a bright yellow trouser suit and wearing long hair down to her shoulders. Her hair was yellow and the ends bent upward.
Oh boy.
Oh,
yeah.
Crimping. Just a curler.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Her dress was close fitting and glittered when she moved, which is fucking dope as shit. I kind of want to. I want to glitter when I fucking move, but
Absolutely.
Don't we all?
Yeah,
Everyone should have glitter clothes, flying cars, and moving sidewalks. Now, I don't get it. It's 2021. This is BS.
On her feet, she wore silvery shoes with red rosettes. In her left hand, she held something that looked like a ball, silver in color, and connected to a rod which she held in her hand. On the ball were 3 antennae, each about 30 centimeters or about a foot long, and each of which pointed towards me.
Oh boy!
I was not afraid, but went quickly towards her. She came towards me, put out her hand, and said, "How do you do?" in Finnish.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I took her hand. It felt soft and cool. Then she took 2 steps back, and at that moment, I noticed another figure, a man, standing immovable some 70 meters, or about 230 feet away. He, too, was wearing yellow clothing. So, like, this is Curious George. We got the man in the
yellow hat.
Yeah, really.
Just making sure the monkeys are okay, man. He did good. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have taken a monkey from its home and stolen it and made it live in this. All right, so maybe the man in the yellow hat is the villain, but that's not the goddamn point.
Yeah.
Point is he's here for the UFO incident.
So yeah, no, this is definitely the man in the yellow hat. I'm gonna take that again. He too was wearing yellow clothing, somewhat lighter in color, and had some sort of hat on his head. This is definitely man in the yellow hat.
100%. I think we just explained all the Hat Man phenomenon. He's a tulpa from a children's book that's looking to steal your monkey.
Yeah,
there you go.
Son of a bitch, that bastard. Does he not realize that most people do not have monkeys? There are very few people that own monkeys.
I have been shamed for years for wanting to own a monkey. I almost did own a monkey, and I've been shamed for it.
Dude,
speaking of TikTok there, Mark.
Chuckers.
Yeah.
Oh, TikTok.
Speaking of TikTok, Mark, there is one guy that does own a monkey that people send him gifts.
Oh, see, I could have had gifts.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I know.
See? No, Robin Christian.
So you want the man with the yellow hat to show up 230 feet away, 70 meters for our metric friends. And you want him to just fucking steal your monkey, your shit-throwing, disease-ridden, stolen from its home monkey. God damn it, Mark.
Okay, well, I guess I'm wrong here. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I continue to be shamed. Fine.
Continues to be shamed, and this is unfortunate.
No, it's been going on for a long time.
Continues to be shamed.
Yeah. No, the last bastion of shame, is monkey owners. It's just shameful.
Well, there it is.
Damn it. It was so dark. I was unable to see him clearly, though, but we know man in the yellow hat was there.
Clear.
He was there.
That's one part of the mystery we've solved tonight, period.
I asked the woman where she had come from. I called her Miss since I couldn't see a ring on her finger.
Oh, it's so gentlemanly.
It is. She responded, "We come from the other side of the galaxy, from a pleasant green land."
Oh, Oz.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, I assume that's what we're alluding to. There's got to be a yellow brick road. The yellow is giving
Lollipop Guild, and of course Flying Monkeys that Mark wants to fucking own in his home with children, regardless of the fact that they have faces that will get ripped off.
Yeah, I'm no longer. I don't own a monkey. I'm not going to because you keep shaming me. You and Chris both. It's fine.
Well, that's what we do. We protect you from your own worst instincts.
We protect you from bears.
Yeah, we try.
We're trying. Mark, I want to get through to you. Okay, we're taking a moment here, Mark. I want to get through to you. Do not feed the bears. The bears are not your friends. They are not your friends. Do not go. No.
I do a good job of chastising people that leave their food out. I'm like, oh, that bear's going to get it. Oh, look what got your food. I don't feed the bears. My wife, I fed a raccoon recently.
Okay, an intervention within the intervention. Mark, do not feed the raccoons. They will become a blight around your household.
It's true.
The raccoons in the Adirondacks, the raccoons were in fact a problem. The bears, though, I tell everyone, don't leave your food out. I'm the local drunk cult leader looking dude that shows up. I'm like, better watch your food.
And then you go chase them down. Yeah, you act like you're the sage, the wise bearded one that tells them all not to leave food out. Then you go out and hug a cub and wonder why the mom gets mad. And I will also say this about raccoons. Raccoons
cub.
are a gateway drug to bears.
Yeah,
so
they
cut
are.
it the fuck out.
They
there you
are.
go. All right.
Like, I'm sorry, but raccoons, they're the marijuana of the animal world.
They're a class 1 animal feeding felony, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh God, I
mean,
have learned
like,
something here.
And the thing is like, you got the munchies, you're gonna dive in that dumpster. You know you are. Mark, you are familiar with the dumpster, my friend. We know this.
It all comes full circle.
Oh,
I'm secretly a raccoon. God damn it!
It's a raccoon man.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Oh, it's like a breakthrough. My therapist, I got to tell her about this quickly.
We
I figured out my problem.
We need the Soundgarden parody of Spoon Man for Mark here. We need Raccoon Man.
Oh, God, yes.
This is why I have abandonment issues. I knew it.
Yeah.
I will hug you until you feel right. I am
Yeah.
soft and strong. Let me be your spirit animal.
Rob's
your
busting
security puppy.
Yeah, Rob's
Oh,
busting
God.
out the hug therapy.
I'll do it.
I'm here for
I
it.
love you, and
Oh,
I need you to be okay with you. Because
Yep.
raccoon or not, you're one of the best, buddy.
He's got a point. You are. And let me tell you, nobody needs to be living that feral life, Mark.
No.
I know. I need to come back.
You
I
need to
really
come
do.
back
Your
to
family
civilization,
needs you.
buddy.
These people came from across they came across the galaxy, right? From a green area.
Yes, Pleasant Green.
Yeah,
Planet.
from a green area.
All right, yeah. Well, clearly,
Green area.
All right, we're getting too deep. Mark needs time to process. We should probably get back to the story.
Yes, we should.
Oh, shit.
She told me that 3 different species of humanoids had visited Imjärvi. First of all, small beings, then people like her, height about 140 centimeters or 4.5 feet, and finally a tall race, almost 2 meters or 6.5 feet in height.
Wow.
She told me that the small humanoids' visit at Imjärvi in 1970 had lasted for 3 minutes. Well, we had thought it had only been for a few seconds. So we
can
got some
missing
time
time
lapse.
be condensed to minutes? I mean, I don't know how much abduction you can get going in like 2 minutes and 37 seconds, but maybe a little something.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe. Something was in the air that night in Imjärvi. Phil Collins wrote a song about it.
Absolutely, he did. We all know it's the classic Imjärvi anthem. We know.
It is. No doubt about
I just did the whole drum solo in my head. So.
Of course you did. Phil Collins is a fucking phenomenal gift to our ears, and I love his work.
And he's a phenomenal drummer as well.
Yeah, he is.
I love his solo work.
The only thing I will say that he gave us in the 80s that I think turned out to be a bust was those big drums. We don't use those anymore.
No, those are not very usable.
No,
at all.
No.
Good luck tuning those.
That drum sound in the 80s, that was all Phil Collins' fault.
Yeah, you need 7 people to tune one tom.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I know. It
had
ridiculous.
its place in history, friends. It had its place.
Listen, nobody could afford that many roadies. All right, nobody.
No way.
He sold his hair.
That's 3 tour buses of roadies.
Yeah.
No one's got that budget.
Nobody's got
not
that
even
budget.
Phil Collins.
No,
Not even Phil Collins.
the record label is not paying for it.
No, not at all. Not at all.
The woman also said her age was 180, although she had the looks of a 20-year-old girl.
Okay.
Life.
All right.
Bless
Well,
her.
Yep.
Okay.
This was the first time Arno had met with this woman, but there would be many more meetings throughout 1972. On June 18th, he received instructions to meet her at another crossroads that led him to a path in the woods where he met the woman who was alone this time. There was no man in the yellow hat. They discussed
The monkey
similar
was
things.
gone. He found the fucking monkey. He's out.
Monkey had fucking taken off. They discussed similar things that they did upon their first meeting. The nameless woman then told Arno to go home, where he would see the craft that they had arrived in. Quote, some 150 meters or 500 feet from my home, I caught sight of the craft. It was low, maybe at an altitude of 100 meters or 300 feet. It wobbled and stopped moving and hovered above me. I drew up on my scooter and watched it from below. There were no lights from the silver disc-shaped object, and neither windows nor portholes. Its diameter was some 5 to 7 meters or 16 to 22 feet. After a while, it rose swiftly into the sky. On both occasions, I had had discussions for about 5 minutes with the woman. She spoke very quickly, and her voice sounded tense. Her words, however, came from her mouth. Thanks for that info there.
That's a nice touch. I mean, there's so much fucking telepathy and alien interactions that every now and again you want to say, hey, you know where the words came from? Her left armpit.
Yeah, they just came from her mouth.
Yeah,
the next sentence, though, is also another banger. I could see her teeth, which were twice as wide as those of ordinary human beings.
Oh, is that a deal breaker, though? Yeah,
No.
but is it a deal breaker? Come on. There's
big...
a chick, you're behind a barn, she got wide teeth, you're like, she's still kind of cute.
No, I don't know about that. I'm not that judgmental. I mean, you're 180, you look 20, you seem really nice, you got big teeth. Big whips. Also, I got to say, even though we mentioned it earlier, the old Carl Higdon case of October 25th, 74, I think, I don't know why I know that date, had also won the yellow skin drill bit hand antennaed straw haired fucking crazy alien that stole him and the Elks. He also is described as having teeth like humans, but twice the size. So there's at least some sort of history, perhaps lineage of the large toothed humanoid visiting Earthlings.
There you go.
And that's my Uncle Rob moment.
Yeah, that is Uncle Rob's moment right there. But I also like to point out that from the art that I've seen, he does look like a cross between a Mega Man villain, a Mega Man boss, a piece of celery, and Napoleon Dynamite. That is like the ultimate combination.
That is so fucking apt. Yes. I've drawn him, and he is exactly what you say.
He really is. Yeah. All right. So we got this big toothed woman here. I mean,
who is probably still lovely, and let's not forget about personality, Judgy. All right.
I'm okay with her big teeth. I think it's cool.
All right, good. I guess we're on the
She
same
can eat a lot of
page.
steak. Whatever. Ponderosa, baby. We're going there for dinner.
Oh, that would be a terrible first date. That is the first date that does not end with a second date. No.
Well,
listen, we're all nostalgic for Ponderosa, okay? Like that's just how it is.
No, I know. I like my fake meat, my rubber steak, and my lies in my mouth. But
listen, they had some pretty fucking good chicken wings, and that mac and cheese wasn't bad.
Oh, God damn it.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Rob Christopherson.
The mac and cheese was glorious. Yes.
Oh, man,
Hands
we had
down.
a lot of Ponderosa references.
God damn it.
a
Now
couple
I'm
pods
missing
ago.
it too. Fuck.
Well, R.I.P. Pondo.
I know.
All right.
I know. Fuck.
All right, let's move on. God damn it.
Her face and hands were very fair-skinned, and she was extremely beautiful. Her nose somewhat pointed. She was some 140 centimeters or 4.5 feet tall and wore a two-piece dress with a high polo neck type of collar. Her shoes were not connected to her trousers. What? Okay.
When is that a problem? Is that the common thing? It's like, interestingly, her shoes weren't connected to her trousers.
If my pants were connected to my shoes, what a pain in the ass my life would be.
Oh.
I
never even liked, like, back in the 80s and 90s when the girls I knew wore fucking stirrup leggings where they just, like, looped around their foot as if somehow their pants would escape if they didn't trap them. I never understood that. But shoes connected, I mean, unless, again, you're in a fucking hazmat suit or some true situation of danger, I see no reason why that should happen.
I agree. And
or feety pajamas.
Yeah. But like the way that he's describing this, like I could see the dress in my head. This is almost like some Marilyn Monroe kind of shit going on
vintage.
here. And then he ruins it by saying the shoes were not connected to her trousers. Like,
yeah,
you're right. The fuck, dude. And the words came out of her mouth. You're a master of delivering these tiny tidbits of details we never could have imagined. Well done, Arno. Well done, Arno.
Yes, very well done. She had large eyes, which were perfectly blue. Yep. This is
nice. Okay.
This is some
for my taste, but whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Oh no, is she a fucking Nazi or something?
Not every blonde, blue eye is a Nazi. I didn't go there completely.
You didn't go there, but like
we were
we were reading each other's minds.
We all went there like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like Maria Orso or whatever that Nazi occultist woman was. Who was
Jesus
lovely
Christ,
to look at, but ideologically, it kills the boner.
Yeah, no.
Don't be a Nazi.
Kills
That's
the
like
boner.
That's the worst thing for my erection, to find out you're a Nazi.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll kill it. There
Don't
you go.
waste pretty
Done.
on Nazi there.
I'm officially putting a content warning at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah. Oh, to the regular fans of Mr. Christopherson, who is a brilliant orator and a phenomenal researcher, we apologize in advance. This is not him. This is us. This is the bags from Cryptonaut bringing it down. So forgive him.
I'm just going to say this outright right now. If you're going to leave me 1-star reviews because we swore and shit like this, just don't. Save the fucking words, okay?
You know what? Let me take this one. Leave the 1-star reviews for us. Because we're the ones that you get off of his poor podcast, you come to Cryptonaut,
Rob.
and you give us that review. No, he shouldn't have to suffer because of us being dirtbags on his lovely well-composed program. That's just not fair. Also,
this will be released.
Can I add one thing?
We'll all be getting 1 star.
Also, please don't give us 1 stars. But if you're so outraged by the fact that Nazis don't give me boners and then look in the mirror,
Jesus Christ.
If you're so outraged by that, then give it to us.
Oh, Rob, you just keep digging that hole.
Listen, times are tough out here for podcasters. Don't give us 1-star reviews. We can't handle it.
Yeah, it is. We can't.
Yeah, it's not easy.
You know what? We mask up. We're not going into stores making a scene. We're composed here. Just because Rob has to tell us, and rightfully so, that Nazis do not give him boners.
And it's a fact. I can't argue with facts.
And you know what? I'm going to go out and say they don't give me boners either. Okay?
Oh, no, I got to agree with this too.
With me. Son of a Thank you, Rob.
Fine, I'm standing with you. Okay, I'm standing with you both. Yeah. Fine. We're boner free in fucking Nazi Germany. There
it is.
There it is.
Oh, let's, you know what we are? We're flaccid for fascism. And we're proud of it.
That's our new bumper sticker.
There it is. Flaccid for fascism.
Oh,
what the fuck? All right.
God.
There it is.
Oh, shit. All right.
Well, let's try and steer this plane
skies
away from the mountains. Let's get away from the mountains. And we're pulling up. We're pulling up. During both meetings, she held the same silvery ball-like object in her hand. No sound came from it. Her method of departure was very odd. She seemed to float away and disappear. Her gait was stiff, and her knees did not bend.
That does happen a lot. The non-bendy knee extraterrestrial humanoid. And here's the thing. She has a gait while she's floating. So does that mean she's literally walking on air?
Maybe.
It has to be. Because I don't know how. So, and you wouldn't even notice if the knees bent if she just was floating in the sitting position like some Roman goddess. Yeah. So she must have like stood up on air and then done this, the Silverman robot walk. In the sky. Which is crazy, but common in a weird way.
No, yeah, it is. There's one abduction account that I have read that I briefly mentioned to you guys before we started recording, and the woman described how she was floated toward the object, the UFO, but it was as if she was on a treadmill made of light, and she was just floating there. Yeah.
What a great analogy. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got tons of great analogies, from Nazis not giving us boners to the man in the yellow hat. This
exactly.
episode
from children's books. It literally is. We're like an Indian horror film. You're going to get gut laughs, you're going to get drama, you're going to get songs, and you're going to get a vampire with 3 weird teeth. It is going to be perfect. And I love those movies.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
They are so fucking great.
The Ramsey brothers.
Yeah. 1 week later, Esko was visiting his friend when at 7:40 p.m., a male figure, the same size as the woman he had been talking to, appeared in Arno's kitchen. The being took 2 steps from the brick walls and stood in the middle of the floor. It wore a gray suit with white stripes, though for some unknown reason, they could not see the being's face. It's unclear if the being had its back to them, or if it was faceless, like you got some,
sketchy reporting.
Yeah, it's a little sketchy reporting. But the being stood there for approximately 30 seconds before it took 2 steps back, toward the wall and disappeared behind the oven.
Oh, man.
As it wants to do, apparently. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least there's a witness. I don't know who the friend was, and he probably remained anonymous, but...
Well, no, this is Esko and Arno. This is Esko and Arno right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely...
So Esko
shady.
actually participated, albeit very slightly, in Arno's unfolding, if not nightmare, at least fucking acid trip reality.
Yeah, no, he went...
Okay.
He definitely endured the Sid Barrett years. Definitely.
He was there.
Yes,
He was
okay.
doing it.
Yep. Shortly after disappearing, both men distinctly heard two thuds, and the whole room was lit by an intense bright light, which seemed to move in a wave-like pattern.
Oh, shit. You don't get to see that.
No,
Not with our human eyes. We can't see
Nope.
the wavy light. That's fascinating.
that is fascinating. In an earlier incident from 1972, Arno met a man in Heinonen in March of that year. He handed the experiencer a green pen and promptly floated away.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that I can't help but think of Mary Hyre in Point Pleasant during the Mothman flap.
Oh, God,
and that
with the
weirdo
pen,
with
yeah.
the bowl cut and the thick
Yeah.
glasses who was 4.5
Yeah.
feet tall. And he
Yeah.
and he just kept looking at the pen. Finally, she's like, you can take the pen. And he's like, hee hee. Like Rumpelstiltskin
Yeah.
stealing
Ran away,
your
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
And he took
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, no, that giggly motherfucker. He's like, I never had a pen before.
This is exciting.
I'm going to trade these for Pokemon cards.
How fucking funny. Are pens like the most valuable thing? Are they the height of human achievement and we just don't know it? Like,
think-
oh my God, the ink flows. It's easy to write.
Communicate, yeah. We're
We're using
communicating
about it,
charcoal.
things
We're
on
flying
paper.
around the cosmos with hunks of charcoal,
Yeah.
carving it on fucking, sheepskin. And these guys got paper and pens. They
I
get
mean,
so
look-
worked up.
Look at, and you know what? You know who's using pencils now? Kids and carpenters. That's it. That's
it.
That's the whole
true.
kit and caboodle.
It is.
Yep. Well, let's throw artists in there too, to a degree.
That's fair.
But that's it. That's
Yeah.
literally the threesome. Pens or pencils, pretty much a dead issue.
And you had to make it a threesome, didn't you? You had to.
Well, come on.
Oh, come
Come
on. It's
on.
Rob.
Yeah.
He's like, "Here, guys."
No, that's
Hey,
fair. That's
As
fair.
long
my
as, you,
pencil.
as long as you don't throw a Nazi in there. The
Yeah,
carpenter. Well, not the kids. No, forget it. Shut up. Shut up.
I was waiting for you to
Oh.
fucking put yourself
My
in the
mind
corner,
worked hard,
and you
and then I
fucking
found the
did
kids
it.
with their fucking pencils, and I'm like, we're not doing this. God
did
damn it.
You did it to yourself.
No, you
I
did it to
watched you
yourself.
do it.
Shut up, Mark Stores. I'm going to drink my shame away right now.
Oh God! Holy shit! Oh
It's not
man!
a threesome, Rob, okay? I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
Pencils are a wholesome writing implement, a wholesome God-given writing implement.
No,
and I will not
no,
hear it
Rob,
said
you
anymore.
you threw that out the window when
You-
you
you-
said threesome.
No, you said threesome, sir.
No,
I just went
you
along.
said it.
No,
Oh, God.
shut up. I don't know who said it. Whoever said it, God damn it.
It was you.
I just- Probably. Either way, I take it back. I strike it from the record.
No, I'm the one editing this, so
The power of
Oh,
the edit.
yes, it's true. All right. I live
Oh.
with your discretion, my friend.
yeah, it's all good.
God.
It's all
God
good.
damn it. Oh. Now a shower. Now I'll wait to the end of the pod.
Arno later entrusted a UFO researcher with the pen. We don't know who, and no other word about this pen has ever been discussed. Ever.
Oh, see, that sucks because at least the dude with the pancakes that tasted like shit after he gave the aliens a jug of water,
I know.
at least he had a pancake to give to science where they said, it's common wheat and whatever the fuck else. But at
Yeah.
least he gave it to science.
Yeah, like, Joe Simonton had the forethought to say, I'm only going to eat one of these. Not that I thought,
yes,
I thought he was
exactly.
going to eat all three because he's, claimed they taste like cardboard. But I don't know. Maybe the man enjoyed cardboard. Maybe
Wait,
he was lying
can you
about it.
imagine if they were really tasty and then fucking science got no crack at it? He's like,
Oh.
God damn, these are good. Cinnamony and delicious. Maybe a hint of nutmeg. What kind of pancakes are these? And they're gone. And science
Yeah.
never knows that they were just shitty pancakes and it proved nothing.
I remember reading an article from, I don't know, maybe a few years ago. And I think they were doing an interview with Robert Friend, one of the heads of Project Blue Book. And I believe he was the guy that went to investigate Joe Simonton's space pancakes. But for a while, in a museum in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, there was a chunk of the pancake on display. So
really?
Yep.
Oh, no shit.
Yep.
Wow.
That's fascinating.
And of course, we know that incident inspired John Tenney to write an electronic album called Knobby Tires on a Wet Pavement. And you should all go and listen to that. It's on Bandcamp. It's incredible. Go listen to it.
I didn't know about this. I need to check
Yeah,
this
no,
out.
not at all. That's an
That's awesome.
absolute excellent introduction. I can't wait to hear this shit.
Yeah, no, so great. So great. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
according to Arno, the beings are highly educated and are about 5,000 to 7,000 years more advanced than we are. They claim that the last ice age was caused by human beings destroying their environment with pollution. It was then that the humanoids guided sunbeams in another direction, creating cold and darkness on the planet, essentially initiating a hard reset on Earth.
Those
Oh,
rat
man.
bastards.
Yep.
Sons of bitches.
They just rebooted the phone. They're like, they got their iPhone, they held the button combination and rebooted it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough.
All right, that's harsh.
They,
All right, well.
they did the hard delete on the Neanderthals, and I'm not cool about that. I dig them. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, for a lot of us, they're at least 2% of our genetic ancestry. Come on, they made us hardy enough to survive European winters. The fuck, aliens? That is not your place. That is not your job to divert our God-given sunlight.
Exactly. On September 4th, 1972, Arno was driving his motor scooter around at 6:45 p.m. when he noticed that he was being followed by a small cloud.
Oh, shit.
The cloud would eventually pass him, and that's when he said he could see 2 feet coming from the bottom of it.
The best.
It was the alien woman, and she floated down from her cloud craft and toward Arno. Quote, "Don't be afraid. I am your friend from another planet. We have met before," she said to the man.
I also talk from my mouth.
Yes.
My shoes are absolutely independent of my trousers. We've met.
After a short interaction, she floated back up to her cloud, where they both disappeared.
Oh, shit. So she took Arno with her?
No, her and the cloud both disappeared.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm an idiot. Thank you for explaining, Rob.
That was my bad in the writing.
No, I don't know, man. We could probably attribute this to alcoholism, I think, at this point.
Well, yeah.
Like, Rob's
most
like,
of this.
Out!
All right, so there's a lot of vodka involved. But I will say there's also vitamin C and strawberries for ice cubes. Again, a tip for podcasters. If you want to drink something with ice and you don't want it to clink, frozen strawberries. It's fucking beautifully silent and delicious. They become infused with the alcohol goodness. Mark's going to disclaim this, but I'm just saying, if you're of age and you want a podcast and you don't want clinking glass, boom.
Find an AA meeting, man. It would help.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Sir.
That's what I'm saying.
We've been friends too long for you to cast that aspersion on me, buddy.
As I'm 6 Bud Lights deep. So, yeah. Yeah. It's okay. You know what, Rob? We can smell our own. It's fine.
That's right. We'll take care of each other in our old, infirmed alcoholic age.
There you go.
All right.
December would bring about another encounter with the notorious woman, and this time there would be physical evidence.
Oh.
Arno was walking to a friend's house through the woods this time at 5:30 p.m. and spotted a strange object with a red cupola descending in his direction. This time, Arno feared for his life and ran the rest of the way to his friend's house.
Is that like a house? Like, I know it's a pointed top, right? I'm not 100% sure.
It's a rounded top. Like,
okay.
I think it's basically just describing like a classic flying saucer with the dome on it.
Got it. Perfect. Because I'm thinking like some Baba Yaga shit floating in a cloud, like
dear
the
God,
house
Baba
that moves
Yaga's
on its own.
If Baba Yaga's floating towards me, I am going to stop existing.
Yeah, I run so poorly that probably suicide's the only option because I can't have those chicken leg motherfucking houses running at me with a witch inside. No.
I mean, she's already got a hut that can walk on legs. I don't need that kind of shit in my life. I don't need that.
Go. No, zero tolerance for Baba Yaga and chicken legs.
Yeah.
Zero.
When Arno arrived, he immediately told his friend of what he had seen. His friend did not believe him, though.
Understandably.
2 hours later, he left the man's house. At the same spot of the earlier incident, a great wind started to blow through the trees in his direction. It was a wind with purpose.
Oh, yes.
He was paralyzed to the spot, and that was when he spotted the woman emerge from a group of nearby pine trees. Quote, "My friend, why did you run away? I wished you no harm, and you haven't done me any harm either." End quote. By this time it was dark, but he could see the outline of the woman's body as her clothing gave off a phosphorescent glow. She was wearing a dress this time and appeared to be floating in front of him. Arno had a camera with him this time, though he was never able to take any photos, as the woman took it away from him.
Give me that camera.
She asked him if he had taken any pictures, but before he got the chance to respond, she dropped something on the forest floor. As Arno bent down to pick it up, the woman and the camera had disappeared.
Oh, no.
Hot damn.
The object was an egg-shaped stone, white on the ends and deeply engraved with a T-like symbol. Arno believed that this stone had strange powers, and he held on to it. One night, he woke up and gripped the stone. He wished the humanoids would come to him, and in response, a light the size of Arno's fist floated into his bedroom and then disappeared up his chimney.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
I mean, that's dope, I guess, if not a little terrifying.
You know,
but you
that's
asked for it. I mean, you called him.
That's some, like, you know, Ebenezer Scrooge kind of shit just happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
Visited
what
by
I'm getting.
3 orbs in the night. By that turkey, Tiny Tim.
Yep.
Do your job.
It's like the ramblings of a madman.
What?
First Get that turkey, Tiny Tim. Do your job.
Dickensian references are exactly what you expect me to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So this is ridiculous. Right. I'm being impugned this way.
I listen, Rob, you're walking the same path as Arno right now. You are on the same fucking road.
You are, yeah. Dude, I'm in love with bears, and you're over here being Arno. So yeah.
Ever since we did a 6-part fucking 11-hour, like 110-page Mothman.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I slowly have been losing my fuck-sucking mind.
So when is your Men in Black encounter happening? Is it scheduled?
See that? You know, when it does happen, I'm going to want to be ready for it because I'm half prepared, but I'm half thinking, of course it's not going to happen. But then when it does, I got to be on my game. I got to like ask some questions. I have to acquiesce to their demands because I'm not a fucking idiot. And then I've got to fucking figure out what's going on. Then I'll write it down and, you know, maybe keep it on the down low for a little while, get stupid and release it and go through the fucking hellish nightmare that MIBs bring. But I'm getting myself psychologically prepared. Probably tomorrow, maybe the day after.
So you're getting yourself prepared by losing your shit ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. It's the safest bet. It's the only way to do it. And for, you know, by the way, insanity is not knowing your Victorian authors. All right. So get off, step off. All right, guys, this is legitimate, like stream of consciousness bullshit that I'm spewing here.
Oh, all right. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Absolutely. On New Year's Eve, Arno was told by the woman to throw the stone into a nearby lake. Arno visited his friend Esko and told him that he wasn't going to do it. Instead, he would hide it underneath a barn.
Safe bet.
As he returned home that night, a, quote, big axe, 1/2 meter across and without handle, suddenly appeared on the path in front of him.
Oh, what?
The fuck? A big axe head?
Yes.
Like, it just shows up.
God.
Is this Gravity Falls? Like, what the fuck?
Might be, man.
That's madness.
It might be. It was red in color, though it didn't reflect light in any kind of way. The experiencer looked at the axe for 30 seconds before promptly walking toward a nearby lake and throwing the stone in it.
He's like, you know what? I better do this.
Yeah, he's walking. He sees that floating fucking axe, red, and just sitting there. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna pull.
I'm gonna pull
a full on King Arthur and chuck my Excalibur stone into the Lady of the Lake there.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is funny. Like, I would do the same thing if I knew I was supposed to do something and I didn't do it, and I see the floating, non-reflective crimson axe. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a direct sign to do it. No matter how unrelated it is, you got to do it.
You have to.
Yep. The last reported incident we have concerning Arno's contacts occurred on Good Friday in 1973. Arno had agreed to meet with UFO investigator Tapani Kuningas at Esko Viljo's home. Arno seemed to misunderstand and stayed home that day, and when he didn't show up, Tapani and Esko went to Arno's home to meet him. According to Tapani, Arno spotted their car immediately and took a path toward Esko's home. The two men searched the nearby woods for Arno, but failed to find him. Instead, they waited in his home for him to return, where he would turn up 3 hours later. Arno couldn't explain where he had been or the reason for his strange behavior, though he later disclosed to Tapani that he had headed toward the original encounter site where he saw 2 black creatures. They were hairy and coming toward him. In the next moment, he recalled being on a mountain 2 kilometers or over a mile away. He could only recall foggy memories of being in a round room where the walls were covered in cameras.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh, was he wearing a bodysuit with little green bulbs on it? Was he playing King Kong in the next remake?
I don't know.
Shit.
Unfortunately, that is the last bit of information that we have about Arno Heinonen's further encounters with strange women, men in yellow hats, and apparently black, weird-looking creatures.
Yeah,
dude,
you got your
this guy
your
has been
Bigfoots?
through. He's been through the ringer. Like,
oh yeah.
What is Esko's take on all of this? Like, Arno's experiencing all this crazy shit, so Esko must be knowing something's going on. Is he like, my friend's super cool, or like, I'm really concerned for him? Because like, if this is Rob, I'd be like, I'm really concerned for him, but I'd also probably get hammered and experience it with him too.
That's so true.
I mean,
so
besides that, you know, like, it's so bizarre that. What is Esko's take on this? I mean, it's obviously, you know, we don't have any information on it, but I mean, he's the guy that you're like, dude, what is going on with Arno? Like, what's the deal? So
there's this interesting take that I have on this case that I think relates to a lot of cases because there seems to be a jumping off point for a lot of people. And it usually starts when they start claiming that they've had further contacts with aliens or further contacts with UFOs, whatever it may be. And in a way, I think in Arno's case here, it's almost like its own cargo cult. It's almost like he's trying to get this alien to come back and talk to him. And he's doing it by trying to manifest it through these crazy accounts that just do not make any sense in the aftermath. Like, the entire encounter itself is just, even the brief encounter with the weird elf-looking dude, just, it's out there. But
right.
I think the larger UFO community was behind him, ready to believe them, because there were 2 witnesses after all, and they both suffered ill health effects. And then you go off the deep end to, I keep meeting this strange woman behind some barns in the woods, and there's a man in the yellow hat sometimes. He's just like chilling off in the corner. He's kind of like that mantis being that keeps watching David Huggins fuck that one alien over and over again. And it's just like observing in the corner and like,
don't mind me.
Don't mind me.
There. Yeah.
I'm just here doing my thing. But like, it feels in its own way like a UFO religion that he's trying to manifest for himself, and in doing so, drawing the aliens back to him. And the thing is like every encounter that he has with these aliens, with the exception of that one with Esko in his kitchen, is by himself.
Right.
That's the
it makes
one
it
thing.
hard. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all looked into enough of these cases to know that multiple sightings instantly, whether it's valid or not, whether it's justified or not, whether it's wrong for us to do it. When someone has a really interesting sighting, especially when it's corroborated by another witness, this is in the case of Esko and Arno, it's fascinating. When they start to have multiples, all of our skeptical radars go up, as they should. And suddenly it delegitimizes the entirety of the thing, if maybe not the first one that has an alternate witness. But on the other hand, just playing devil's advocate, because this happened a lot with some of the Mothman witnesses and a lot of other where, what's her name, Linda, whatever, I don't know, maybe you remember, Mark, but she's Scarberry, thank you, living with her parents. You know, they saw the first big Mothman sighting that made international headlines, but then she saw him sort of on her roof looking lonely, and she got this psychic sensation that he was an interdimensional entity or something that was lost on this world and couldn't communicate, and then saw other crazy shit. And, you know, so of course, me and everyone else, because most of us, you know, despite the fact that we're open-minded enough to look into this stuff and really try to appreciate the evidence at face value academically as much as we can, we are really skeptical. There's not a lot of, at least not that we hang out with or talk to, certainly not you, certainly not Mark or I, or definitely not Chris. We're not like just completely credulous and wanting to suck it all up and like, if it's said, it's true. We're trying to break it down. But on the other hand, long-winded as I know I'm being, there is also that small chance that these multiple sightings are occurring, and that these intelligences, whether they be extraterrestrial or interdimensional or some sort of other occult type origin, diabolical perhaps, fucking are singling him out on purpose because they do not want anyone else to be able to corroborate it. They won't let him take pictures, though. Obviously, they put him in a fucking room of cameras and irradiate him with another box camera with the elf. So I almost can't help but I understand being skeptical, and I absolutely agree with it, but I almost want to just take it for what it is, because what does this guy have to gain? Now, I get your theory about starting like a UFO type religion, wherein the more he expresses these stories, the more likely he'll have another encounter. And I think there's definitely some validity to it, but there's also the chance that this shit just keeps happening. And it's not happening to Esko except that one time, or the two times, actually, the initial encounter and the faceless dude behind the oven, he's really spiraling down this path through no fault of his own. And these things just keep building up. And even though they make no sense, and even though it makes us all feel like, oh, fuck, this dude's either mad or fucking making shit up, there might be a chance that this is a really a valid series of encounters that are obviously life-changing for this poor son of a bitch.
Yeah, and even as crazy as it does get, you know, as you mentioned, like you go from seeing, you know, the elf being in the woods in the weird mother box, then down the road, Esko they do have another encounter in a kitchen with a faceless being that disappears behind a stove. So no matter how batshit crazy it seems to get, I mean, apparently there wasn't another witness to one of the events. So yeah, that's bizarre. Like the other thought that I had, which is a little bit more tragic, is that whatever they were exposed to from the first encounter, I mean, if this dude just, poor Arno dude, just losing his mind from like deterioration or something. But then again, Esko, they did see this thing in the kitchen. Whatever. So yeah. I mean, this is
or maybe there's a combination thereof, and that's where it gets dark. And Rob, I promise I'm going to let you talk on your own podcast, where he is physiologically affected by whatever these sparks and, you know, this camera or whatever it is, and that there's a combination of continued visitation combined with literal physical gray matter, as Mark said, deterioration, and that it's some weird synthesis of his degrading sanity combined with genuine encounters, which make it nearly impossible to differentiate between the two.
Paranoia is a really powerful force.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
I've been on vacation for the last 2 weeks, and I've experienced it heavy because my furnace has gone out a couple of times now, and like the paranoia of it of me thinking it's going to happen again is like incredibly high. And you start to have irrational thoughts, or you start to do things to kind of shield yourself from, like, one thing that I'll do is I'll keep my headphones on me all the time so I don't have to listen to the boiler kick on.
Understandable.
No, absolutely. No, I get it. And you are absolutely right, Rob. Paranoia is an infection.
Mm-hmm.
It is so insidious. Anything's like I've dealt with anxiety disorders for, since I was a teenager. And when that shit overwhelms you, even though your logical mind can try to compartmentalize it and maybe you get through it with whatever means you can, when it hits you, it is like a physical disease, and that sort of irrational terror, be it paranoia, be it anxiety, be it whatever it is, can really distort your perception. And of course, I mean, not to get so deep that it becomes impossible to delineate between events we're really talking about and shit that seems solid. Your perception of the world, as we all know, is the reality you're living in. And when it is affected, whether or not it is a psychological matter or a physical matter, it changes literally your reality. As it relates to Arno, especially because, let's point out one thing, though, that might be a touch of physical evidence. It seemed to be only Arno that the weird mother box, as Mark calls it, the box camera, as I've been calling it, that the elf held, he only fired it at Arno. Mm-hmm. And maybe there was something in that opened up lines of communication, including with the implant, and that or contaminated him, and like a little burst of Chernobyl right up in his face. I mean, who the fuck knows? And it could be a type of energy that we couldn't detect back then and in 1970, and maybe not even now, because of course they're going to have access, if they are an interstellar culture, to minerals and energy sources and modes of radiation that we might not even be able to interpret with the equipment we've had back in the near mid 20th century or even now. So that could be the case for him and a lot of the people that seem to be suffering these effects, but they can't, the doctors, brilliant as they are with their sleeping pill prescriptions, couldn't find.
Yeah.
And also too, with that box, if you remember, he said that he had an implant put in his back.
Right.
Yes.
And then
Esko
also,
yep.
Yeah, Esko had the thing in his head, but he was cast aside because he wasn't cool as the backpack that Arno had, apparently. So if he did meet this being from another, galaxy or dimension, or, whatever you want to call it, and they did implant something in him, and it is like a direct transmission, or it is something that is screwing with him physiologically, whether it's tossing the serotonin off or giving him weird fucking spikes and shit in his body, like he could be experiencing like some really super fucked up form of psychosis.
Right.
Creepy.
The interesting thing, I think, is that when you look at, for instance, Betty and Barney Hill, Pascagoula, all of these incidents, you look at them as singular, isolated incidents, despite the fact that every single one of those people involved in those, except for Barney Hill, who died, tragically young, claimed to have further contacts. In Charles Hickson's book that he co-wrote with William Mendez, he talks about further contacts not long after the initial contact in October of 1973. And that was William Mendez's jumping off point. And by and large, if you Google Imjärvi on the internet, most often than not, it will bring up this case. That is like one of the most like recognizable things about that name is this case. And the perception of that case ends with that lone incident in 1970. Like you don't find this stuff out till 1980. And even then, it made the mainstream publications in Finland, but it didn't make the mainstream accounts and stuff on other websites because a lot of people aren't necessarily going through, issues of Flying Saucer Review by decade to find this information.
Club, man.
Yeah.
I know. We're rare breeds.
I was telling, Mark earlier this week that I had found these incidents from Italy involving rat-faced humanoids, is what they call them.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Send me a link, my friend, because you instantly had me at rat-faced humanoids.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely will. But like, it fits into like the weird stuff that was going on in Italy from like 77 to 81, 83, somewhere stuff, when people were like seeing UFOs like crazy. They were seeing occupants and just all sorts of batshit stuff. And then I find another article that says somebody encountered something similar in Brazil, and it's like, what the hell is going on? And then the thing is that they look an awful lot like the Kelly Hopkinsville goblins.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh no, it all comes back around.
It always seems to come back around. They have very prominent ears. They are terrifying in the artist depiction that they have of them, but definitely, I just kind of want to stress to people when you hear a story about any kind of like incident that I bring up on this podcast, there may be more information out there, and I think that's with everybody involved. Like I want to say it was like a decade after the Falkville Metal Man photos and encounter of 73 that I think it was NICAP's UFO investigator. They claimed that it was a hoax. So there's always more than one side to a story, and that's when I'd encourage people to keep that in mind and always, I don't know, try and search that stuff out. Like one of the best resources for like all of these old UFO periodicals is a website called Saturday Night Euphoria. If you go there, you click on their library, they have links to like old issues of Flying Saucer Review, the Apro Bulletin, UFO Investigator, all those old
brilliant
sources.
Resources.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love them,
totally.
and I swim in a sea of it for the exact same reason. I agree. That's a great suggestion.
But definitely just keep in mind that if we're presenting a UFO case, there's always, we're talking about an isolated incident most of the time. We're not talking about what happened in this person's life. And like, think about that. Just think about some of the shit that they had to have gone through, like the psychological effects and all that stuff. Because like, I think the main story is compelling. It's just, it falls off at a certain point.
Thank you for saying that, Rob, because I couldn't agree more. One of the things that I like to stress in my stories always really is that we're fascinated by the odd creature or whatever it is that these human beings are encountering, be they kids, adults, whatever. But especially when they suffer for it, think about the human factor. Always remember that it was a human being that endured this, that had to accept this, that had to have the courage to come out with it. Now, some are certainly hoaxes and lies. We know that. That's just, par for curse, as it were. But there are a lot of times where people are really genuinely going through a traumatic, life-changing experience because of their encounters with the unknown. And then they have to live with it. And then they have to process it. And then on top of it, very often they have to deal with the grief of ridicule and condescension and maybe even, loss of jobs, certainly loss of respect from peers, loss of friends that are just like, I can't be hanging out with a weirdo. And these people really endure it. So both points you made about take the time to look for other resources. Podcasts are always just a starting point. And even when as well researched as Rob Christopherson's work, just brilliant, there's always something to find, always something to dig into, and I would say it about any podcast on any subject. Use that as a launching point to, a diving board, if you will, to get into the pool of information that's out there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Totally. And I mean, like, perfect example is that, this week, Newsweek printed the story, that headline about the tourists in the Dyatlov Pass area going missing. And then, it was broken on Russian websites later that they were found just fine. But the internet is a free resource, and I definitely encourage people to do as much research as possible. Go that step further if you can. And the frustrating end of trying to find certain pieces of information in a book that is incredibly expensive online, and Google Books is not giving you enough information.
Boy, you're singing to the choir, my friend. Keep on preaching,
we know
buddy.
This well, yeah.
And I'll say another thing about mainstream media. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rob.
No, you're good.
But in terms of the case that we've been talking about, or at least the Arno and Esko part of the case, I think one of the reasons that it got a lot of news in in Finland and maybe certain circles, but didn't cross the line, is the fact that this thing looks like, as you rightfully pointed out, a stop motion animation Rankin and Bass dressed, at least elf, with like a more what's that movie Legend with Tom Cruise with Tim Curry with the perfect devil, but with that goblin hook nose and a more kind of nefarious but maybe not that bad pale blue features. I think the crossover, it's funny because a lot of people, even people that are skeptical, will accept the technological aspect of UFOs. And I definitely fell into that case for most of my life. The idea that they're extraterrestrial or interdimensional pieces of technology driven either autonomously or by sentient beings that are just from a different place. Now, obviously, you have to expand. The older I get, the more I read, the more open I am. And I used to cringe at the thought, oh, God damn it, it's a goblin. It's a fucking elf. You just pissed on your story. It was a great UFO encounter till you threw the fuck-sucking elf in there, and God damn it. But if that's what happened, that's what happened. And I know Jacques Vallée and his, Passport to Magonia and a lot of really esteemed ufologists have opened up to say, we can't ignore this just because it's inconvenient and makes us go, well, shit. It doesn't fit into the Hynek paradigm of the technological things and the degree of close encounters. And I think, I've become, as I've gotten older, a lot more open-minded. I think people should be too. Yeah, it looks like a typical elf. And so you can go into the scientific camp and say, well, that means all elf stories are actually ET encounters from, times of yore. Or you can go the opposite way and say, oh, maybe these are indigenous inhabitants that, people have seen all these years and that they're not visiting from, Alpha Centauri or, Tau Ceti. They're just doing their shit. There are other occupants of Earth that just happen to have been evolved longer or have better tech. And, and we've got to deal with that aspect of it. So besides doing more, I would say the thing that makes you cringe is the thing you should probably research more. Because if you don't feel comfortable with it, it probably means that understanding it will at least either open your mind or make you feel confident that this is bullshit and I don't need to go down this road anymore. But either way, take the time to look into it and not just discard it because on its face it seems absurd, as this does.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Totally.
It's definitely important to come to any kind of publication, any kind of report that you get with an open mind.
Yeah. A skeptical but open mind. You can be skeptical, but be willing to just look at that's what, and I'm sorry to interrupt you again, I'll make this quick. Be willing to look at it for what it is and be willing to understand that a human being put this out at great risk to their reputation and possibly livelihood, especially in the 20th century.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And he did not shy away from it. So take that for what you will. So I guess before we get out of here, we're going to go around the room. What do we think happened here? What do we think we're dealing with? Mark, we're going to start with you. What do you think happened in Imjärvi?
Ooh, man. Geez, I think, I know I talked about like the whole mental deterioration from whatever effects he was facing from this blasphemy guy from the box. But I mean, if they did implant something in his back and they're communicating with him, maybe things just got a little bit out of hand, and he just kind of went with it. And I think that because, there was an incident in the kitchen that was witnessed by somebody else. I mean, I think, whatever he was experiencing, I think he experienced it.
I think that's completely fair. I agree
honestly.
with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Rob, where are you at with this one?
It's interesting because lately, working on, different pods for Cryptonaut, I've been really looking into interdimensional things and parallel worlds and what the difference between the two is, because they're often synonymous. And I'm starting to become much more open to the idea that reality, and we've talked about this before together off the air and Mark and I a lot, of the idea of a layered reality where there are different places where different beings occupy the same planet, the same space. They're as indigenous as we are. I would call them indigenous aliens. They're from here as much as we are, but from different planes of here. And they're able to traverse these passes with what, you'd call technology. It might seem like magic, as Arthur C. Clarke said, any technology sufficiently advanced, I'm paraphrasing, of course, would seem like magic to someone who witnessed it. And so I think this is something from here and something that has been visiting for millennia, if not longer, because there are tons of experiences, as much as it's become a cliched aspect of the appearance of elves and the clothing, and it's part of pop culture. It's part of pop culture because there is a cumulative observation of these same types of beings and their wardrobe. And I think that they're from here. I don't know what they did to poor Arno. I don't know if when the elf with the lensed box, whatever it may be, shot sparks at him, if he got exposed to something that was deleterious to both his health and his psyche, or if it was a combination of just such a shocking moment combined with a successive series of encounters that twisted him. But I will say my take is, and maybe it's just because this is the rabbit hole I'm in right now, is that this is something that is as much of Earth as we are, as giraffes, as crawdaddies, as anything else, but a different level of it. Something that maybe, and this is something people don't discuss a lot, they love talking about how it was the nuclear blast that kind of kicked off the Kenneth Arnold late 40s, 47 on flying saucer spate. And I think there is something to it. But Gordon Creighton actually said it, and he said it much better than me. And I wish I could remember the source where I read it, but we've talked about his brilliance in writing and translating, especially for the FSR. And he said, the damage that we are doing with nuclear tests might be infinitely more severe on other levels than it is here. And that will certainly draw the attention of the creatures. He didn't say that we share the world with, but like creatures that are affected by it. And again, it's a paraphrase. I'll try to find the source and maybe put it out somewhere. But the point is, even he said that might be true. And I think there's a way to connect the mythology to modern technological UFO lore, because I was a hardcore technologist for many years. Even though Grays bored the tits off me, I love the old weird shit. But with like contactees came up with and weird, Doctor Who monsters. But either way, I think there's something to be said for the technological part, and I think there's something to be said for what many people would interpret as the fantastical occult element. And I used to loathe that, but again, like I suggested earlier, you look into it, you got to open your mind. I'm not a wholesale believer in like carte blanche everything. I do think that a lot of cryptids are real animals. Unlike Mark, I don't believe Bigfoot is a mystical shaman that walks between worlds. I'm not shitting on anyone who does. I think it's a fucking, a proto-humanoid, a proto-hominid that just got lucky enough, smart enough, and a small enough population to hide and stay away from fuck-alls with gunpowder and, cheap beer because we're dangerous. All right, digression aside, I think they share the Earth with us, and I think there's something worth looking into.
I mean, just to be fair, she did say they were from however far away in the galaxy, from a green lush green world.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know. And
which could be Earth, could be proto Earth, could be like Earth -27.
Could be Earth
Batman
2 here,
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading Batman Death Metal, where they have like this new multiverse thing set up with like negative worlds from like fears and stuff like that. So it could possibly be something like that.
It could also be quantum entanglement. It could be something that might be separated at a great distance, but be completely connected. That might require a wormhole. It might be in another galaxy or the far end of the galaxy or wherever the fuck it is, and it's lush and green. So maybe they have an Earth that's pristine, and when we're fucking it up, as in quantum entanglement, one thing affects the other no matter the distance. So I'm not going to take the fact that she said we're from far away to indicate that it can't possibly be interconnected.
And this is how we create our own extended universe with this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and you guys are going to brand me as insane. That's what's going to happen. I'm the fucking pariah. That's fine.
I want to know.
I don't like Nazis and I like multiple worlds. I'm the shitheel. Thanks, guys.
I want to hear what Rob Christofferson's take on this is.
Absolutely.
I think the initial encounter there's too much information there and too many health effects to ignore. I think that's definitely a legitimate encounter. And for me, it's always going to be where the jumping off point is. And if I can stay on this ride long enough to go along with it. And for me, it's tough because I don't have completely Esko's view on this because it was never published. It was never put into magazines. It seemed like this was Arno's thing. And, you could take that as you want to. The entire thing about them being implanted with, transmitters in their bodies, that's not part of the original articles. Neither is any of the post encounter stuff. It's not part of the original articles. And you definitely run into that dangerous point where you get a very small view of an incident without knowing that there is other stuff to go along with it. I think
Right.
I think that whatever happened to Arno and Esko, it really heavily affected Arno to the point where it just became an obsession for him. And I think it became something that he manifested maybe in his own ways. Maybe the stuff that, he claims happened to him did happen to him. Or maybe it's a manifestation of an imagination for someone who wanted it to continue, despite the fact that they had rather ill health from the initial incident. There's something about the otherworldly that, for a lot of people, makes them want to call it back. Regardless,
right, like they came so close to it,
yeah.
right?
So, like, you want to see it manifest again because it seems like it's a 1 in a million kind of shot. It's one isolated incident that lasts a few seconds, and it is world changing. It is like universe shattering, and you want more of it. Maybe you want to understand it more. Maybe you want to carry on a conversation with whatever it is that you're encountering. I admire that side of an experiencer, regardless of, whether I think they're having real experiences afterwards or not. I respect that.
Absolutely.
But I think there are things out there, regardless of where they come from, that want to communicate and they want to do things regardless of what they are. And I think this is a case in which that happened. I don't think you could take anything away from them in their initial encounter. There's just, like I said, way too much. But as for what it is, I think I like to just live with the mystery of knowing that there's something crazy enough out there that would want to appear in front of two random skiers and interact with them. I think that's what drives all of us, is that there's
100%,
something that wants to interact with
You're
for
right.
whatever reason.
Yeah,
totally. The fascination we can all have with lights in the sky, or like I say, Doctor Who like or Star Trek like aliens and weird cryptids, all of that stuff really does, especially in terms of the intelligent beings and entities, stem from the idea that if they're making even the tiniest bit of effort, why and what can you glean? And I don't know how many times I've had conversations, especially with people I admire, like say George Romero, who I freaked out, the great deceased filmmaker, who after the fact of the encounter, I think, oh my God, there's like 17 questions that I totally meant to ask that I'll never know now because, like you say, they're not published or they're not whatever. And so I can see having experience like exactly like you said, that's so brilliant and so immense and so life shattering and changing, but so brief that once it's over, you think to yourself, oh, I need this to happen again. I need to re-encounter. I need to know this part. I need to ask them, even if they're deceptive, as they often are. And I know Keel and a lot of his acolytes would say ultra terrestrials, like these beings that manifest in different ways simply to fuck with you, so you're never going to get the truth. But you got to also hope that these are fellow sentient, intelligences from wherever they may be. And I am not totally against the extra terrestrial hypothesis, even though I made a grand case for parallel, worlds. But there's from somewhere, and they're smart, and they clearly, like you were saying, Rob, want to say something to us. Now, sometimes it might be nefarious. All the time, it's enigmatic. But every now and again, there's a revelation, and yes, I can see where you could say like he is constantly striving for it and not having it. I also think, just on a quick side note, that implants might work more than just a communication and tracking device, but might actually be able to resonate in a way, or I don't know if that's the right word, but to affect your ability to experience things. As we said earlier, as we all know, as sentient beings, all your listeners, the way we perceive reality with the squishy organ and chemicals that are inside of us that make up our brain and then, the eyes and all the pieces that we sense the world with is how we perceive reality. That is literally the end all be all. And we all might have very unique perspectives and just think we have common grounds. But if they put an implant in you that gives you the ability to experience things or just changes it in the same way Elon Musk's magic chips might or whatever in your brain to interface with the internet, then these incidents might not even be real in a physical sense, but just have engaged him. Not the first one, because you got to tag the deer, as it were, before you can track him in the tundra.
Before you can start sending weird psychic projections into this dude's mind.
I'm just saying it's a side option. But getting back to what Rob was saying, I absolutely 100% agree with the assertion that when you experience something like this, no matter how fleeting and how harrowing and how debilitating it might be physically, and it makes you special. Let's be honest. And sometimes, when you're not special, if you're just a farmer or a dude who likes to cross country ski and now you're across the world in papers, that might encourage you to make other sightings occur so you can be a part of it, or it also might, and we all know this, make you lie. And that doesn't unvalidate the very first experience that has an additional witness. But I certainly think, and this of course just pollutes the waters, and one of the things that makes it so hard to research these things is that after the fact, some people just make shit up to stay in the limelight.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. And sometimes perception is as simple as a woman in a yellow dress whose shoes are not connected to her trousers.
That is a fact.
We did it, boys. We brought it right back around.
We made you a rambling mess, my friend, but thank you for taking us on this ride, because this has been the most fun I've had in so long. And Rob, welcome back. You were sorely missed.
Yeah, Rob, welcome back.
And I am so fucking excited that you're back in the fold again, man. Here's my golf clap, but I mean that sincerely. That's not a sarcastic one.
As a longtime listener of Our Strange Skies myself, like, part of me is like, oh my God, this is Rob's first episode back and I completely killed it.
I'm thinking the same thing too. Jesus Christ. Why us? Why did you? We're your asshole friends. Why did you do it?
But on the same note, though, I'm so honored because I've been waiting for him to come back for so long that now I'm here.
Really, I'm super stoked too, man.
I'm excited, man. It's good to have you back.
And
it's been
listeners,
a long time without you.
Hold Rob responsible for nothing. This is us. On the other hand, savor the fact that he's back and doing what he does, and he does it brilliantly. And I couldn't be more delighted. And this was really, honestly, a pleasure to do, because when I saw your research unfold, I do a lot of writing and research too, for our pod. It was like a revelation. I'm like, this is exactly the way you do it. This is fucking pro status. Well fucking done, man. And honestly, welcome back.
Yeah, man. Welcome back.
Thank you both. I appreciate that, and it feels good to be back, and it feels good to know that at least I did something. I think I did something good here. So you can't go wrong with that assertion, and you can look forward to more of whatever this is, and like just what Our Strange Skies is and what it can be, and if you think that episodes like this are not what Our Strange Skies is about, you are absolutely wrong. This is totally what we're about. We're about having fun. We're about talking about UFOs and strange stories. And I couldn't think of two better people to have on than Rob and Marc from the Cryptonaut podcast. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on. And if you want to plug your stuff, feel free to do so.
Yeah, sure. We are available on all the, the places you get your podcasts, like the Spotify, the Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, any place you can get a podcast. We're there. Check our show out. Cryptonautpodcast.com is our website. The socials, the Instas, the Twitters, the Facebooks. We have a Patreon over at Cryptonaut, or patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. We sell merch at hellerspace.com, and just look us up. We're pretty much at every outlet you can find us, and yeah, come and check us out.
And I will say, nobody has better pod merch than the Cryptonaut podcast. Nobody. Nobody comes even close. I love y'all out there. Don't get me wrong. Nobody comes close to the.
We have a ridiculous amount of merch, actually.
Yeah, we do.
There's so many designs. I'm like,
Marc is at heart a designer, and always was, and actually was my tutor as a designer. I didn't even know how to do a poster or a record cover before I met him. And then, he gave me the fundamentals. And of course, I'm an illustrator. So when we get together, this is shit we've been doing as friends for years, on top of talking about monsters. And drinking together and getting scared at Frankenstein's in a window. That's a story for another time.
Yeah, totally.
And so, when we just get together and collaborate, and I just draw some crazy it's just fun. Thank you, Rob, though, for
Yeah,
appreciating a labor of love. It was really sweet of you to say that.
Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely.
gentlemen. I own 5 shirts, so if you don't own
Oh.
at least 3, what are you doing with your life? Seriously.
Yeah, what are you doing with your life? Come on. Get them shirts.
You cannot go wrong. And if you want to find Our Strange Skies, I'm not doing much of the social media stuff. You can follow me on my personal page on Twitter at Your UFO Guy. That's where I tweet most of my stuff these days. But don't forget to look up, because you never know what you're going to find in Our Strange Skies or in the forests of Imjärvi. In Gray, we trust.
Yes.
Oh,